आय अंग भगवान जय जय श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। ओम अज्ञान तिमिरांधस्य ज्ञानांजन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। आजानुलंबित भुजौ कनकावदातौ संकीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वंभरौ द्विजभरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ। Obeisances to the most munificent incarnation of Godhead, Sri Sri Nitai Gaur Sundar, who have come to cause and bestow upon the whole world the highest possible fortune. So welcome everyone to this transcendental program of studying Bhagavad Dharma, or called the Param Dharma, or the absolute duty of the humankind. Currently in this program we have been studying Sri Prema Bhakti Chandrika by Sri Narottam Das Thakur, who is so systematically educating us Ajat Rati Sadhikas, the conditioned position of the conditioned souls. And almost all of us, we are in Ajat Rati Avastha, and so we have not experienced the incessant fascination, attraction to be an eternal associate in loving service of the divine couple. So when we think about the magnanimity of Sriman Mahaprabhu in his incarnation, what he has decided to give us, what he has desired to give us, is so sublime that since eternity, even the enlightened soul could not imagine what he has come to give us. And that's why we should be most assured and we should feel most confident that without entangling our intelligence to figure out what is better for me, because this is the symptom of a human being. The human species is symptomized by mode of passion. So in mode of passion, the only thing good from a spiritual point of view, not from material point of view. So from material point of view, the mode of passion means it does not allow one to settle in any situation. One just cannot settle as if enough, no santosh, no satisfaction under any circumstance. So human being is always hankering for more and better. So on the material platform, this is a calamity. This is a disease, correct? On the material platform, if person, no matter how much endeavors he makes and how much he accomplishes, how much he gets, accumulates, he's never satisfied. That's very miserable. No? But this very symptom, which is the biggest calamity on the material platform, is the greatest boon on the spiritual platform, so that one does not settle until one reaches the zenith or the acme of the possible what is that transformation, a possible achievement, highest kind. And that's why as a sadhaka, we should be simultaneously first be very confident, assured that since we are also agreeing with Sriman Mahaprabhu that yes, what you want to give us can be only the best. So we also agree on our part to also aspire for that what Mahaprabhu has come to give us, the Radha Dashyam, the highest possible fortune for a sadhaka in accordance to his Swarupa. In accordance to his Swarup means which is fully authorized. We may desire many things, but they may not be authorized. How strange. And Mahaprabhu has come to give us the highest thing. So anything less or any other desire other than what Mahaprabhu has come to give us, how can that be unauthorized? If somebody is settling for less, how can that be unauthorized? Yes, that is unauthorized because to desire for anything less than the best makes one underachiever, underperformer. And to remain underperformer, to remain underachiever to our fullest potential is a curse. So to aspire for anything other than what Mahaprabhu wants to give us is a curse. And that's why it is unauthorized. Is it authorized to commit suicide? No, it is not authorized. So in the same way, is it authorized to become a curse for oneself? No. And through the teachings of this Prema Bhakti Chandrika, we will be so systematically educated, and our motivation to always remain aspiring for the highest, for the ultimate gift of Mahaprabhu will set our tone, and we will find that we will lose all possibilities of any distraction or deviation from that goal of highest perfection of Sri Radha Dashyam. We studied so far 13 shlokas of Prema Bhakti Chandrika. In the conclusion of the 13, it appears that every shloka is a conclusion of all the previous ones. It is so designed because it's just building up the knowledge, the fascination, everything. In the conclusion of the 13th shloka, which was very critical because it deals with the means. So the studying of bhakti literature, devotional literature, they are basically our abhiday. Abhiday means the means, the highest means to attain the supreme gift, the supreme human pursuit called prem. So all what we are doing at satsang, basically it is our pursuit, our endeavor, the process of satsang itself is only meant to lead us to achieve our highest pursuit, that is love of Krishna, prema. Prema pumaltho mahan, the highest endeavor, or the target is love of God. In order to accomplish that, what was instructed in conclusion of last shloka was that anya bhilashita shunyam. That was the conclusion. Renouncing other desires other than Radha Dashyam. Like karma and jnana, because karma, in the endeavor of karma, one is caught into the aspirations of mundane sense gratification, even up to the Brahmaloka. And in the name of Jnana, one is becoming trapped with the vasana of moksha, to become non-existent, to become free from even desiring, free from willing, and free from doing. So one becomes utterly inactive. That state of existence, seeing the misery in this material entanglement. So one wants to completely free from the material entanglement and become completely action free. But there is also aberration of our natural joyful conditioning of serving, seva. Jiver Swarpoi Krishna Nitida. So this entanglement into sense gratification, independent of recognizing that Krishna alone is the supreme enjoyer of everything. And other extreme moksha, to so both this desire for sense gratification, independent of Krishna, and desire for becoming non-existent, to becoming utterly inactive, utterly detached from this world, or overly attached to this world for sense gratification, becoming utterly detached, to become completely inactive. Both positions are aberration from our actual healthy situation of becoming engaged in the loving devotional service of Krishna. Therefore, renouncing other desires like karma and jnana, then the worship of other gods and goddesses. But worshipping Sri Krishna alone, with body, mind, and words, in the company of the sadhus, should be known as the greatest means or greatest cause, or the purest means of the living entity's attainment of the supreme human pursuit called prema. Yeah, the things which become a stumbling block for attaining prema, get rid of them, and then becoming situated in exclusive devotion to Krishna. These two things would suffice for the living entities to attain the supreme human pursuit, which is love of God. And after this, to further how means fine tune or to specify, because the word, the company of the sadhus, because sadhu samaj or the society of sadhus is very vast, and different sadhus are situated in different bhavas, rasas. Like, so in today's shloka, Narottam Das Thakur will so wonderfully elaborate, or the thought of Narottam Das Thakur is elaborated by the followers of Narottam Das Thakur in Parampara system. All our previous acharyas following the line of Sri Rupa Goswami, and for the purpose of fulfilling the manobhishta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the words of the Sri Prema Bhakti Chandrika, how wonderfully it is the essence, the meaning, and its purport is explained by our stalwart, pure devotee predecessor acharyas, and also the present pure devotees, just for our benefit, so that we can be ignited, our desire to follow, our desire to attain the fortune which Mahaprabhu has exposed, and we become very, very much inclined to follow the necessary path and the directions. Sloka number 14 says, Mahajaner jai path tate hobo anurat purva par koriya vichar sadhana smarana lila ihatena koro hela kaya mane koriya susar. So Narottam Das Thakur is speaking on our behalf, what he would do in order to attain. What was the conclusion of the last sloka? That how to attain the supreme human pursuit called love of God or prema. So he's just considering himself as a sadhaka. He's just telling himself. He's not taking the position of like instructing others. He's only instructing his mind. I will remain dedicated to the path outlined by the Mahajanas. Mahajanas means all Mahajanas who aspire for the spiritual perfection of love of God. Of course, I will remain dedicated to the path outlined by the Mahajanas, the great authorities. But amongst them, we cannot follow all the authorities. Can we follow more than one authority simultaneously? Although all authorities coming in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or even previous to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if they are coming in the line of disciplic succession of one of the authorized paths, they are all Mahajans, and we quote and we also get inspiration from their realizations, no doubt about it. But since we cannot follow all the authorities simultaneously, our following should be very specific, very specified. So in that regard, he's saying, Purva pare koriya vichar, distinguishing. Vichar means considering, distinguishing between the former and the later. So what is former Mahajanas, former great authorities, and the later? Later means latest. Former means previous. So here, if you think of the spiritual authorities prior to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they would be considered former. And those Mahajans or spiritual authorities who come under, who come after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his teachings, Rupanuga, they are called the later. Later means the latest, and latest has to be the best, because what we perceive or benefit from the most, because the latest is designed according to our time, place, and circumstances, best for us. Don't you think? If anything is evolving or just so in accordance to time, place, and circumstances, the latest instructions or directions would be the most fruitful for us. Correct? We must not ignore the latest instructions of the latest spiritual authorities we are under the guidance of. We must not ignore. We must not jump over, because previous authorities, they were authorities for those who were in direct, those who were in their direct submission. So in our case, we must see that the latest authorities or the current authorities for us, they are most beneficial to us because we can directly be corrected and directed properly. If we just follow the previous authorities, then our mind and our material intelligence may just come in between, and our mind and intelligence becomes our spiritual authority, and that's not a very healthy or safe situation. We must be able to recognize the transcendental status or the most blessedness of at least one spiritual authority at the present. That would do us the ultimate highest good, because that experience would be so unique. We may find our fascination towards the teachings of previous acharyas and others, Prabhupadas and everybody, but it would be no match to identify or spot someone in the present time, to associate with and to feel the thrill, feel the joy of subservience to someone who is perceived as the most blessed. It's a direct perception. So, in that regard, this sloka is very, very critical. We cannot be just general in our following the many authorities of the past or the present. Our allegiance to Mahajanas, allegiance is a very critical word. No? Can we show our allegiance to multiple spiritual authorities of the past or the present? No, we will be lost. Rather, we will find certain contradictions, and we will just be lost in our exclusive devotion to our spiritual authority. We have to stick to one authority ultimately. In general cases, we can follow and find directions from many different sources, but when it comes down to just following one authority, it has to be someone in the present. So Narottam Das Thakur, he mentioned the greatest cause or means of attaining prem is what? Exclusive devotion. That's the minimum standard. And in the today's this Tripadis, the Sloka, is describing what should be the allegiance of those who are the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's describing the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Who are Gaudiya Vaishnavas? There was a court discussion with the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was asked, what is the meaning of Gaudiya? So he said, those who worship Lord Vishnu or any Vishnu Murtis, they are called Vaishnavas. Those who worship Krishna Murti, deity of Krishna, they will call Krishnas. But those who worship Sri Radha are Gaudiyas. Such a wonderful, correct? So when we identify ourselves as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we take the pride that yes, we are the worshippers of Sri Radha, our highest deity of honor, love, everything. So, our allegiance for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas' internal worship, what should be their allegiance to? Which Mahajanas or spiritual authorities we should follow? The Vedic literature, the spiritual authority comes in Parampara, correct? The great sage Vyasadeva. The Vyasadeva is in Mahabharata especially, he said that if anybody wants ultimate good on this path of spiritual perfection, following the Vedic tradition and the Vedic direction to attain the highest perfection of one's human potential, Vyasadeva said that one should not get lost into arguments and mental speculations, all these things. One should follow Mahajano Yena Gatha Sabandha. Only by following the well-established stalwart spiritual authorities, we at least move. Why we call them Mahajanas or great spiritual authorities? Because they have greater realization. They can raise our status, they can raise our consciousness, at least to their level. So all the great spiritual authorities who have performed so much austerity and so much realization to elevate the soul, freeing it from the quagmire of the hankering, the vasanas for sense gratification or for liberation. The trap in the name of religiosity, either for karma kanda, for gaining higher sense gratification in the higher planets, or the hankering for liberation or moksha, both will cause deprivation to attain the our eternal status. What is eternal status? To become eligible to attain the service of the divine couple, service of the Supreme Lord in his abode, as an eternal associate of the Lord. So these two things, desire for mundane sense gratification, desire for liberation, both block, both deprive us. And therefore, with this basic guideline, those great, we consider them as our spiritual authorities who are targeting our attaining the supreme abode. So great sage Vyasadeva has called allegiance to the Mahajanas is the surest and the safest way to attaining the spiritual world. See, spiritual world. Our attaining the spiritual world, our entrance into the spiritual world, attaining the supreme. So we have to follow those Mahajans who have led the path that leads to the spiritual world. Beautiful Sloka in Mahabharata comes. Tarka apratishta sutayo vivinna nasau rishir yasya matam na bhinnam. Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatah sabantha. In Mahabharata this comes. Tarka apratishta. Tarka means arguments. Arguments have no basis. What is the value of argument of a person like me with little shallow intelligence? Our perception, what is the capacity of our senses to perceive or see or hear anything? We have a limited capacity to perceive out of this humongous material existence, and what to speak about the existence beyond this material realm. So people may argue according to their, according to their perception. In due course of time, and through education, we may increase our perception. But again, however greatly we become advanced comparatively, or more advanced, more mature in comparison to others only. But there could be many more who are more mature and more greater in their perception. So who ultimately to follow? Whose conclusion we have to follow? That's why arguments have no basis. For what one man propounds with due consideration can be defeated by another learned pandit or learned person, who will then establish his own opinion. And then his opinion will be refuted by some other more knowledgeable person. So such arguments never lead to a steady conclusion. We can never be sure that just by following one person, unless he is the basis of the spiritual authority of the your and the scriptural authority, we can never put our complete faith in one person, one person's speculation about his judgment or conclusion. Such arguments never lead to a steady conclusion. Apart from that, there is no rishi or sage who does not have another opinion from the other sage. Nasau rishi yashya matam nabhina. One cannot be called a rishi or spiritual authority unless he has some different opinion. New rishis, new spiritual authorities. In order to become a spiritual authority or become a rishi or muni, one has to have a different opinion. Otherwise, he won't be called rishi or one who has some independent or new novel idea, novel philosophy or anything. He won't get a PhD. If he just copies someone else's opinion, then he will be called a follower, not the rishi. Rishi has to have a new or different opinion to be called a rishi. Nasau Rishir Yashya Matam na Bhinnam, if he does not have separate, different opinion. So this is the position. Thus the real religious principles are very deep. Dharmasya nihitam guhayam. Guhaya means very deep, very secret, very, very hard to ascertain. Therefore the way of practice propounded by the Mahajanas. So the way of practice which is propounded by the Mahajanas, through which they achieved their desired end, is the unfailing path to be followed to achieve one's desired end. So, among the Mahajanas, the knowledge is there that they attain certain status by following a process. So, if one follows the process chalked out by that Mahajana, then he can definitely attain that so-called perfection. But since we are the followers, we have the advantage of following the path which leads to the highest possible perfection of our human potential. So we should not settle with any other Mahajanas, because their estimation of their target of perfection is nowhere even remotely near the target of perfection given by Mahaprabhu in Radha Darshan. So anyway, following the Mahajanas or spiritual authority, that we cannot, that one cannot give up. One cannot do without it, because through which only, because the Mahajanas or great spiritual authorities, whosoever we follow, and whatever desired result they achieve by following the path. So if one also wants to achieve that the same desired end or result, they can follow their path, and that authorized path is the unfailing means if one wants to achieve one's desired end. Why would one follow anybody? We would want to follow only that one who has achieved the goal which we want to achieve. No? That's the point. That's why he says, Mahajanir Jai Patha Tate Hobo Anurta. I will become attached to the path that was practiced and preached by the Mahajans, and I will show attachment to that. That is coming in disciplic succession. Definitely. Hmm. Now comes a specifically which Mahajana we have to follow. So ours is a path of Raganuga Bhajan, we follow the loving sentiments of the heart, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So what is the definition of Gaudiyas? Those who aspire to attain the maid servanthood of Srimati Radharani. So this word to be recognized with the nomenclature or being recognized as Gaudiya Vaishnava is a very, 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 very wonderful. With pride, we should be able to say that we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas because we are the worshippers of Srimati Radhika Rani. We are aspiring to attain her maid servanthood. That is the speciality of our following the Mahajanas. So as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we do not just maintain attraction to the path shown by the Mahajanas, but we must practice bhajan in full allegiance to the Mahajanas of their own sampradayas, means we follow the Gaudiya sampradayas. No? You cannot be general here. Oh, follow Mahajans of any sampradaya. No. We are called Gaudiya sampradaya, no? Gaudiya Vaishnava. So we follow the acharyas or spiritual authorities in allegiance, in full allegiance to the Mahajanas of our Gaudiya sampradaya. And what is that lineage? It's called Rupanuga lineage. Srimad Rupa Goswami Pad has written in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tad bhava lipsuna karya braj lokanusarat hai. Seva sadhak rupena siddha rupena tad bhava lipsuna karya braj lokanusarat hai. A person who desires loving attraction to his beloved deity of Sri Radha Krishna in Braj must serve in allegiance to the people of Braj, both in the current practitioner's body as sadhakas, as well as in the spiritual, mentally conceived, antaschintit, externally, our external bhajan in this present body, and internal bhajan with our internally conceived spiritual body. A person who desires loving attraction to his beloved deity, Sri Radha Krishna, in Braja, must serve in allegiance to the people of Braja, following in the footsteps of the Brajavasis, both in the current practitioner's body, sadhak deha like ours, as well as in the spiritual, mentally conceived body, which is fit for serving the beloved deity. In our present body, we are not fit to serve the deity or the divine couple. Only with our spiritually conceived body, we can serve the deity. Deity or Godhead, they are completely pure. No? And our present present body with so many transformations, so many vikaras, so many. It is anything but pure. It is just not pure enough. Mental service must be rendered in the spiritual body in allegiance to Sri Radha, Lalita and Sri Rupa Manjari. This is our path. So we follow those acharyas, those spiritual authorities, those who are in the line of attaining Sri Radha Dashyam. Therefore, for sadhaka, the mental service must be rendered in our spiritual, in one's spiritual body, in allegiance to Sri Radha, Radha Dashyam, Lalita and Sri Rup Manjari, in service in the current physical body. In the current physical body, our allegiance should be to Sri Rup Sanatana Goswami. Clear? In our spiritually conceived spiritual body as a Manjari, our allegiance is to Srimati Radhika Rani, Lalita, etc. Sakhis and Rup Manjaris. And in our current physical body, we must be service must be rendered in allegiance to who are our ideal, allegiance to Braj people or Brajvasis like Sri Rup and Sanatan. So those who are coming in the lineage, spiritual lineage of Rupa Sanatan Goswami, up to our spiritual master. So that is, so our allegiance to our spiritual master coming in the lineage of Rupa Sanatan. He is our Brajavasi because following the footsteps of Brajavasis, so Rup Sanatan were established as the Brajavasis, and following in their footsteps, the whole parampara is considered and honored as Brajavasis. All our Guru Vargas, especially for the disciples, once a spiritual master coming in the lineage of Rup Sanatan Goswami has to be perceived and honored as Brajavasis, because where else, who else, which other Brajvasi we are going to seek now? Are we going to seek Rup Sanatana Goswami? They lived during their time practicing, establishing the ideal bhajan to attain Sri Radha Dashyam, and those who accepted their subservience and anugatya, they attained the same status as them. So their followers subsequently accepted them as Brajvasis. So Nautam Das Thakur says, then he says that Purvapara Koriya Vichar, meaning that there is a distinction between the Mahajanas of the past, and the current Mahajanas, and that the sadhaka must, as far as fitting, do bhajan in allegiance to the current Mahajanas, whose hearts are filled with the desired mood. So one clear distinction between the Mahajanas, spiritual authorities even of the past, there's a distinction, those Mahajanas, the spiritual authorities, who existed before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they did not have the fortune to target Sri Radha Dashyam. But the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have directed us to attain Sri Radha Dashyam, the ultimate or the highest possible achievement of our human potential in accordance to our Swarupa as the eternal servant of Krishna. So Purva means previous and Apar means latest. Korea Vichar, meaning that there is a distinction between the Mahajans of yore and the current Mahajans, and that the sadhaka must, as far as fitting, do bhajan in allegiance to the current Mahajans, whose hearts are filled with the desired mood. And what is the desired mood? Sri Radha Dasyam, Bhavollas Rati. So the former are the sages. So previous to Mahaprabhu's advent, the great stalwart sadhakas as rishis, munis, So the former means the the spiritual culture and its continuation, succession comes from very, very long time ago. But so previous to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means if we can go as far as like Puranas of different during different kalpas time. So the former means prior to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the sages of Dandakaranya that were mentioned in the Brihad Vamana Purana. So which are the former Mahajanas before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, going as far as the previous Yuga, Dandakaranya, the sages of Dandakaranya, those who found their attraction to Lord Ramchandra, crores of millions of years before. The personified Vedas, when they found their attraction, conjugal attraction towards the Lord, the rishis, the sages of Dandakaranya, they found their conjugal attraction towards the Lord. What to do? The personified Vedas, they also desire to attain the fortune of the gopis. And the process was to follow in their footsteps. There is a person by the name Chandrakanti. Then Jayadev Goswami, we heard, is Jayadev, the Gita Govindam writer. Vidyapati, Chandidas, and Bilva Mangal Thakur, who wrote Krishna Karnamrita. So these are the former sages before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. Then the later means after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or those who following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami Swami. The latter are the 6 Goswamis. The purport of this is that by Srimad Mahaprabhu's grace, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas in this current Kali Yuga, in this present time, have attained the good fortune of worshipping Brajas of Vrindavan's super excellent Madhura Rasa, sweet mellow, or conjugal mellow. So where Radha Krishna and their affairs are involved, it's called Madhura Rasa, sweet mellow, conjugal mellow. So this is the special grace of Mahaprabhu that we, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, his followers, in this present age, Kali Yuga, have attained the good fortune of worshipping Vrindavan's super excellent Madhur Rasa, sweet mellows in conjugal dalliance of the divine couple. Worshippers of this Madhur Rasa. Now the worshippers of Madhur Rasa means worshippers of Sri Radha Krishna. The worshippers of this Madhur Rasa were also the previous Mahajanas. This Dandakar, the sages of Dandakaranya, the personified Vedas, Chandrakanti, Jayadev, Vidyapati, Chandi, they all describe the conjugal dealings and the mellows of the divine couple. Like the sages of Dandakaranya forest, the Vedas mentioned in the Brihad Vamana Purana, and lovers of Sri Krishna like Chandrakanti, who became greedy after him as a lover and thus worshipped him as lovers in allegiance of the eternally perfect gopis, like personified Vedas also. Following in the footsteps of the gopis, they attain the same fortune as them. Nibhrita maruta mano aksha dridha yoga yujo hridiyat munayo upasate tadarayopi yayuhu smarnat. Striye uragendra bhoga bhujadanda vishakta dhiyo. Vayamapi te samaha samadrishu angrisarusuga. When the personified Vedas, they noticed how dearly attached the gopis are to Krishna, how gopis' hearts are attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, and how wonderfully they attain the fortune of getting the loving embrace of Krishna's arms, And so, following in their footsteps by their mercy, they also attain the same fortune as the gopis. Then, when they attain gopis' bodies, they rendered loving service to Sri Krishna as lady lovers. About the sages of the Dandaka forest, the following is written in the Padma Purana. This is a wonderful description. In the days of yore, there were some sages in Dandaka forest. Dandaka forest, some province of central India. And Lord Ramchandra, while he was in exile for 12 years, for 14 years, at that time, they met Lord Ramchandra. Sages were already in that Dandaka forest who worshipped Sri Krishna. But when Sri Ramchandra came to the Dandaka forest with Sita and Lakshman in obedience to his father, and the sages saw him. So when the sages saw Lord Ramchandra, they became very greedy to test their worshipable Sri Krishna's sweetness as lovers. They hadn't attained Krishna. So Krishna when he appeared, manifested his form as Lord Ramchandra. Naturally, the sages who were worshipping Krishna to attain Krishna, so when they saw the beautiful form of Lord Ramchandra, they were attracted towards him. They became very greedy to test their worshipable Sri Krishna's sweetness and lovers. Although they were too shy to pray for such a boon from Sri Ramchandra. This is too free. Although they were too shy to pray for such a boon from Sri Ramchandra, still they attained perfection in Raga Bhakti practice by the grace of Sri Ramchandra, who is like a wish-yielding tree, and they took birth in Gokul in the coming age when Krishna manifested in his self-same form in Vrindavan. So Lord Ramchandra, being a wish-yielding tree, their wish got fulfilled and they took birth in Gokula as gopis, gaining the right to render loving service to Sri Krishna and as lovers. How the presiding deities of the Vedas attain the status of the Lord's lovers is described in Brihad Vamana Purana. There it is described when the presiding deities of the Vedas personified, who resided at Brahmaloka, in the abode of Brahma, they beheld Sri Krishna. When the presiding deities of the Vedas personified, who resided at Brahmaloka, beheld Sri Krishna, they prayed, "O Sri Krishna, when we see the luster of your body, that defies millions of cupids, our hearts become agitated by lusty desires and we desire to serve you as lovers." Wow. Just as the Gopikas who live in Sri Vrindavan serve you in a sweet and amorous manner as their heart's lover, we similarly have a strong desire to serve you. They also attain gopi bodies, bodies of the gopi, with the right to serve in Braja as Krishna's lovers. Conjugal. In Padma Purana, it is written about a Gandharva maiden, Gandharva Apsara maiden lady named Chandrakanti, that she worshipped Sri Krishna and thus received the boon from Sri Krishna's pure devotee Brahma to meet with Srimati Radhika Rani, with Sri Vrishabhanu's daughter. So, all of them attained Sri Krishna's service due to their desire to enjoy with him as lady lovers. Then also we know about the way devotees like Jaydev, Vidyapati, Chandidas, and Bilamangal worship Krishna in a mood of Sakhis. Sakhis, but all these are Mahajans that preceded Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So either previous to Mahaprabhu, the aspiration was either to attain Krishna as beloved in conjugal lady lovers, or as the associate of Srimati Radharani as Sakhis. The six Goswamis, headed by Sri Rupa and Sanatan, are the current Mahajanas we are following. They are all eternally perfect Manjaris of Vrindavan or Sri Radharani's eternal maidservants. They are all eternally perfect Manjaris of Braja Vrindavan or Sri Radharani's eternal maidservants. They have descended along with Sriman Mahaprabhu. All the associates of Mahaprabhu, even when they appeared in male bodies, they were actually the Manjaris, eternal maidservants of Srimati Radharani. And because Krishna assumed the mood and complexion of Radharani, that's why the associates of Radharani, they all join that Krishna who appears in his disposition, in his mood and complexion is Radharani. So when we associate, when we see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should see Radharani in him. They have descended along with Srimad Mahaprabhu as his associates to preach the practice of Manjari Bhava to the world and to take the practicing devotees of this world into Braja Nikunja, to bless them with the gift of Sri Radha Krishna's loving service. Then Bhavollasarati. When we consider the practices of the former, means previous to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and later means after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we consider practices of Mahaprabhu, former and later, we can learn that those who relish Lord Krishna's sweetness as his lovers, as his conjugal lovers, who wish to enjoy with him in an erotic way, do not obtain the good fortune of fully relishing Sri Krishna's sweetness. Wow, this is far out now. So even attaining the fortune of becoming a lover of Sri Krishna, one does not get to relish the fullest sweetness of Krishna. How come? Here is the reason. For in Sri Only in Sri Radharani's presence, the ocean of Sri Krishna's sweetness surges up in a boundless manner. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna himself acknowledges this. यद्यपि निर्मल राधार शत प्रेम दर्पण तथापि तथापि स्वच्छता तारे Bade Khan Khan. Although the mirror of Radharani's true love is spotless, although the mirror of Radharani's true love is spotless, still its clarity increases at every moment. This is very amazing, no? There is no end to the increase of my sweetness. There is no end. Or rather, there is no end to the increase of my sweetness. Or in other words, the word says, Amare madhurye nahi badaite avkash. Means what Krishna wants to say that there is no possibility to increase my sweetness, because just like Krishna, his sweetness is also all pervading, unlimited. Unlimited sweetness. So if something is unlimited, how can it increase any further? So what Krishna is saying, there is no possibility. Avkash means possibility. There is no possibility to increase the increase of my sweetness. But still, in front of that mirror of Radharani's love, it floats in ever new forms. My sweetness and Radha's love are constantly competing with each other. Both are vibhu, both are unlimited. Each one is increasing, and neither of the two accepts defeat. So whichever way we can appreciate this. In one sense, it says there's no end to the increase of my sweetness, and in front of that mirror, it floats in ever new forms. So although there is no possibility to increase any further, Krishna's sweetness, which is like an ocean, like the ocean does not increase. But in front of, like when it comes under the influence of the moon, it raises, the waves raised, the tide, like this. In the same way, Krishna is saying, although there is no possibility of any increase of my sweetness, but in front of Radharani's mirror, the mirror of Radharani's love, it floats in ever new forms. My sweetness and Radha's love are constantly competing with each other. Each one is increasing, and neither of the two accepts defeat. Although those who worship the adolescent pair in the mood of Sri Radha's girlfriend, although those who worship the adolescent pair, the divine couple, in the mood of Sri Radha's girlfriend, of Manjari's girlfriend, the Sakhis here, the same. Although those who worship the adolescent pair in the mood of Sri Radha's girlfriend, because there is only girlfriends are allowed in that realm of Radha Krishna, because boyfriend is only Krishna. The hero is only one. So here is a tremendous, clear distinction of the fortune of those who attain the fortune of becoming a maid servant of Srimati Radharani is described. Although those who worship the adolescent pair, divine couple, in the mood of Sri Radha's girlfriend, Sakhi, will attain the good fortune of experiencing the relish of Sri Radha Krishna's matchless sweetness. But those who worship in the mood of Sri Radharani's maid servants, this is how they stand out. But those who worship in the mood of Sri Radha's maid servants or Manjari Bhava are blessed with the greatest relish of the divine pair's sweetness. How? That is because by the wish of Srimati Radharani, the Sakhis may occasionally enjoy with Sri Krishna. And since the Sakhis and Sri Radha feel equal to each other, the Sakhis feel some hesitation. So does Radharani. And thus they are also ineligible. Therefore, they are also ineligible to go in and out of the secret and private playgrounds, Nikunja, of the adolescent pair. The Manjaris, or the personal maidservants of Srimati Radharani, are, non-different from her in body and in spirit. Therefore, they are blessed with attaining the good fortune of beholding the sweet and intimate pastimes of the adolescent couple, and also relishing the mellows of the services that are to be rendered in that time, place, and circumstance. Wow. There will be very intimate and confidential time and space where Radha and Krishna are involved in their conjugal dalliance. At that time, only Manjaris, in the presence of Manjaris, Radharani and Krishna, they don't feel any hesitation, and therefore the Manjaris also don't hesitate to enter that realm where required some assistance is necessary. So that is the great approach. So they not only relish, they not only they not only they are blessed with attaining the good fortune of beholding the sweet and intimate pastimes of the adolescent couple, but also relishing the mellows of the services that are to be rendered at that time. So this relishment of services in that very intimate time and space, that fortune is not available for the Sakhis, because in the presence of the Sakhis, there is a hesitation. The Sakhis themselves have the hesitation to enter where Radha Krishna are alone, engaged and obsessively involved in their loving conjugal dalliance. The Sakhis have the access. So they are able to render services to the divine couple, along with relishing their fully evolved beauty because of their mutual presence. Mutual togetherness. When Radha Krishna are together, their beauty, Krishna's beauty and Radharani's loving, the beauty of her loving sentiments, Adanakhya Mahabhav, they attain the limit of expansion. So the expansion of their beauty and love reach their limit. Because of their matchless oneness in feeling with Srimati Radharani, even the signs of, wow, Manjari's fortune. Because of their matchless oneness in feeling with Srimati Radharani, even the signs of Krishna's love-making on Sri Radha's body become reflected and manifest on their own bodies. Therefore, the greatest relish of sweetness of the divine pair couple lies in the mood of the kinkaris. Therefore, the greatest relish of the sweetness of the divine couple lies in the mood of the kinkaris. The current Mahajanas, the six Goswamis, headed by Sri Rupa and Sanatana, are the teachers and preachers of Srimad Mahaprabhu's dearmost practice of Manjari Bhava. Therefore, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas who have surrendered to Srimad Mahaprabhu's lotus feet do not practice the worship of the previous Mahajanas who preached, who practiced Sakhi Bhava, but instead follow the current Mahajanas, Rupa Sanatana Goswamis, in the practice of Manjari Bhava. After this, the blessed author says, Narottam Das Thakur says, Sadhana Smarana Lila Ihatena Koro Hela Kayamane Koriya Susara. Do not neglect the practice of Smarana and make this the perfection of your body and mind. Do not neglect the practice of Smarana. Shravana Kirtana Smarana. Shravana means listening, hearing. Kirtan means chanting, and Smarana means remembering. So this remembering aspect of this bhakti is very, very critical. So do not neglect the practice of Smarana and make this the perfection of your body and mind. The main item of Raganuga Bhajan, which we are in, is Leela Smarana. Leela means pastime, Smarana means remembering. Why? Because Raga means loving attachment, is a mental religion, correct? One does not become attached to someone or something in the body, but in the mind, na? Because unless mind is involved, mind is fixed. So how the mind becomes fixed? At the point of attachment, the mind becomes fixed to the object of attachment. That's why the main item of Raganuga Bhajan is Leela Smaran, remembering, because Raga is a mental religion, and that means Smarana, remembering. When the mind is joined with the Lord's holy names, attributes, form, and pastimes, then this is called Smaran. What is the definition of Smaran? Remembering? When the mind is joined, connected, not dislinking, but linked. When the mind is joined with the Lord's holy names, attributes, form, and pastimes, then this is called Smarana. Here the instruction is given to perform Leela Smarana, trying to remembering the pastimes of the divine couple. What we have heard, what we have studied and listened, and we contemplate, whatever we glorify, whatever we hear, whatever we study, in satsang, what we are supposed to do, the instruction is given to perform Leela Smaran, trying to contemplate the pastimes which we have heard. So Narottam Das Thakur said, Yugala Vilasa Smriti. Yugala Vilasa Smriti. What is the best thing to be remembered? Yugala Vilasa, the conjugal dalliance of the divine couple. That is the best thing to be remembered. That is also, Ramanand Rai also said this when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, what is the best thing to be remembered? Yugala Vilasa Smriti Sara. That is the essence of all the remembrance. The remembering of the loving conjugal dalliance of the divine couple. During his practice of recollecting Sri Radha Krishna's eightfold daily pastimes, this is for the practicing devotee. So during our practice of recollecting or contemplating, remembering Sri Radha Krishna's eightfold daily pastimes, Ashtaprahar, the whole 24 hours are divided into Ashtaprahar. So while remembering or recollecting Sri Radha Krishna's eightfold daily pastimes, the devotee has to identify himself with his Siddha Swarupa, or spiritual body, in which he or she is rendering service to them. But in the service of Sri Radha Krishna's pastimes, especially when Radha and Krishna both are involved in the private groves, only one has to identify to with his female body, means so the spiritual body is a manjari to render service to them. The service that he meditates on during his practice, he will get. Service that he meditates, sadhane bhavive jaha, during his practice time, our practice time, the service that we meditate on during our practice, we will get when we attain perfection. Sadhane bhavive jaha, siddha dehe pavotaha. That what I meditate on during my practice, during this lifetime, with this body, during my practice, I will attain in my perfected spiritual body. So what I meditate upon during my this sadhak body, but in my antaschintit, internally contemplated spiritual body. So this is a sadhak during this our present lifetime, whatever we will practice to attain through the contemplation in our spiritual body. So what we practice during this time, we will attain the same in our perfected spiritual body. Right now, we are just only contemplating our spiritual body. We haven't got it yet. But whatever we contemplate in our internally conceived spiritual body, same thing we will attain in same fortune of service, whatever we contemplate upon when we get our spiritual, perfected spiritual body. So there can be no taint in this transcendental psychology. So this is the realization. This is the great guideline he is providing. Whatever we are targeting, we should start contemplating about it in our internally conceived spiritual body to attain actually the full-fledged, our perfected spiritual body. So whatever spiritual body we contemplate about during our sadhana stage, present time, in our perfect stage, we will attain the same spiritual body which we contemplated upon in our internal contemplation. Since the practice of smarana depends on purity of the heart, it may first seem difficult to accomplish for the aspirant. Therefore, some slackening or neglect of this item of worship may occur. The practitioner must give up his own sense of doership. I am the doer. Because in contemplation, in our spiritually conceived body, who is the doer? The kinkari, the spiritual bodied person. Right now we are not a spiritual bodied person. Our conditioning forces us to think of this body as the doer. Correct? That's the warning. The practitioner must give up his own sense of doership and depend on the Lord's grace in this practice of smarana, then he will easily be able to purify his heart, and gradually his recollection of Leela will become easily accessible and blissful. Although the practice of smarana is dependent on the Lord's grace, this is very important point. Very important point. Although the practice of smarana is dependent on the Lord's grace, still it is absolutely necessary that the practitioner concentrates his mind, for it is the perseverance and enthusiasm in the devotee's practice that unleashes or releases the Lord's grace. Hence, the aspirant must commence the smarana item of his bhajan by establishing his self-esteem in the spiritual body given to him or shown to him by Sri Guru. Hence, the aspirant must commence the remembering of smarana item of his bhajan by establishing his self-esteem, self-esteem in the spiritual body, the pride to be a maid servant of Srimati Radharani. So by becoming establishing in one's self-esteem in the spiritual body given or shown to him by Sri Guru, so that that remembering should be cultivated with body, mind and words. The item of bhajan named smarana is wholly dependent. So now comes a very important point. Because the mercy principle is the most essential. But still, in order to attract the mercy of Krishna, we have to continue the sadhan bhajan. So one may argue that if it is only going to happen by the grace of Krishna, why should we put any endeavor to get it? Correct? One may think, well, the item of bhajan named smaran is wholly dependent on the Lord's grace and not on personal endeavor. Therefore, I will commence bhajan or smarana bhajan, remembering. I will commence this bhajan means contemplating, remembering oneself as a manjari and associating oneself in the loving service of the divine couple. I will commence bhajan whenever the Lord's grace will shine on me. One just think, oh, I will just wait. What's the point of making endeavor when it is dependent only on the grace of the Lord? So I will commence my that bhajan, internal bhajan, only whenever the Lord's grace will shine on me. Is this attitude good or very dangerous? So he may think now, for the time being, there is no need for the bhajan item of smaran. There is no need of contemplating, remembering of oneself in the spiritual form and all these things. Well, how dangerous is this mentality? When such words of despair and pessimism dwell within the heart, the Lord's grace will never descend. The Lord's grace is not just, this like freely available, or it has no other function, correct? No. The Lord's grace will never descend if we don't have that right attitude to receive it. So when such words of despair and pessimism dwell within the heart, the Lord's grace will never descend. Hence, Sri Thakur Mahashaya Nautam Das Thakur said, Sadhana Smarana Lila ihate na karo hela kaya mane koriya susan susare. Do not neglect the practice of Lila Smarana. We must not neglect the practice of remembering as to what our spiritual identity is and what is our what we aspire, what kind of service we want to render to the divine couple. So do not neglect this practice of Leela Smarana, but make it the essence of your life. If we come to the stage of being able to remember ourselves in our spiritual body and connecting ourselves to the eternal service of the divine couple, that will be the essence of our life, no? So do not neglect the practice of this Leela Smaran, but make it the essence of your life with both body and mind. So this is the wonderful instructions and very enlightening, and hope we can sustain this enlightening incessantly to become our spiritual awakening. So with these words, I would stop, invite some participation. If anybody has any question or something, please come forward. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Guru, beautiful class. I have a question, Shri Guru.
Yes.
This beautiful gift of Ujjwal Ras that Mahaprabhu has bestowed to all of us. To attain that gift, Shri Guru, is it necessary that one must be initiated in a sampradaya, or one can be initiated into any sampradaya, but by taking shelter of a pure devotee in this parampara of Shri Rup Sanatan, one can attain this Manjari Bhav as well.
Yes. So Manjari Bhav is the specific nature of our service in conjugal ras. We are not the direct participants. We are not the lady lovers of Krishna. We are not aspiring to be the lady lovers of Krishna, or even to associate with Radharani on the equal platform where Radharani, obliges us because they are my equals, so they should also experience what I experience with Krishna. That is not our aspiration, and that's why those who aspired to become the lady lovers of Krishna, they were very limited. No? But Mahaprabhu has revealed the secret of even greater fortune than becoming a lady lover of Krishna or to become a Sakhi of Srimati Radharani. To become more confidential of Radharani than even the Sakhis. So, they are so much in tune with the sentiments of Srimati Radharani that Radharani considers them as non-different. No hesitation to speak and reveal her mind freely to these maid servants. They are called the Palyadasis. No? Palyadasi means like the pet. What is called pet? No? Pet, the pet animal, like people like keep the pets like dogs or cats or different things. Something sparable, something at one's disposal. So Radharani feels so free from any hesitation whatsoever to express or to use in any way, just as one can use one's pet to do anything for the master. No? So in the same way, maid servants, pet maids, pet maids of Srimati Radharani, their fortune is so matchless. Even the Sakhis and other so-called lady lovers of Krishna also don't have the same fortune is the Manjari, because by Radharani's inconceivable mercy, as we read, if we studied that, they are allowed to experience what Radharani experiences in direct touch with Krishna. And whatever symptoms of relishment and excitement Radharani feels, or the symptoms which are manifested on Radharani's body, they become also manifest and experienced by these maid servants. So this is like becoming most fortunate not only in relishing the full-fledged expansion of the sweetness of Krishna's beauty and Radharani's, the beauty of Radharani's bhava. Bhav Madhuri and Rup Madhuri. When Radha Krishna together in solitude, in their groves, their beauty becomes expanded to the limit. So this Manjari is, they experience not only the sweet beauty of the divine couple when they are together, but also they also get the fortune of serving them in that most intimate mood. So not only the rasaswadan of the highest nature, but also the seva swadan, seva sukha. Premanand and sevanand, they get both. So that's why the what Mahaprabhu has given stands out even within the conjugal seva, in conjugal connection with the divine couple. We are neither aspiring to be the Naikas nor the Sakhis of Radharani, but we are aspiring to become the confidential maid servant of Srimati Radharani. So, those who have established this path of Manjari Bhav Upasana, Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So, this task was, the authority was given, or the Rupa Goswami was made the authority. So, those who follow in the disciplic succession of Rupa Goswami, they alone will get this power. Because to others, it is not even available. They don't think that this is the highest thing. So, if Mahaprabhu has chosen for us the highest fortune, how can any other fortune excel it? That is the idea. And that's why, in accordance to the Swarup identity of us living entities, we are the tiny part of the Tatastha Shakti of Krishna. We are the Shakti Tattva. And our seva is Anugatyamai seva. Only by accepting subservience of Radharani and those who are subservient to her, we attain this fortune. So, as we studied the principle of mercy, so by the inconceivable mercy of Srimati Radharani, she causes us to experience what she experiences in the direct touch, embrace, other aspects of conjugal dalliance with Krishna. That's why, so as far as what is the definition? Fortune means the experiencing the sweetness of Krishna. So any status, or that status in which one experiences the highest level of sweetness of Krishna and highest level of confidential service of the divine couple, that status has to be the best, no? And that is Sri Radha Dashyam. So those who have exposed and created the procedure and the ways and the means to attain that fortune, we have to get it from them. How can you get something which they don't have? All right?
Yes, Shri Guru.
All
If
right.
anybody would like to ask anything, please kindly unmute.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Sri Guru.
Hare Krishna, welcome.
One question I had come up was, what's the difference between the symptoms of like spiritual lust compared to what we know of material lust?
There is no spiritual lust. Lust is only material because it appears as lust. Spiritual means spiritual love. Spiritual love means only sacrifice, the self-centeredness. Spiritual love means making the other person the beneficiary, primarily. So this tremendous attraction. So one wants to become fully consumed for the pleasure of the beloved. So it's like dying for Krishna. So when the gopis are dying for Krishna, it appears like they are lusty after Krishna, correct? No. They are only thinking to bring or increase the joy of Krishna because they have experienced that their bodies and everything about them, Krishna loves, Krishna likes. So when they are not able to make Krishna enjoy with them, they are thinking why Krishna is self-depriving them. Because Krishna has many issues, correct? And this is how he's not able to give his fullness to the gopis. But gopis, they are ready to give it all. They are all the time fully ready to give it all to Krishna. So it appears that they are lusty Krishna. But their only purpose is anything but self-centeredness. They are so centered to give and increase the joy of Krishna. So in lust, it is only self-centeredness is called lust, not Krishna-centeredness. But the self-centeredness of the conditioned souls on the material platform, that is called lust. And the Krishna-centered love of the gopis, they have similarity in passion, very motivated, very passionate. But the focus is different, correct? Self-centeredness makes one very miserable because one feels utterly unfulfilled because lust or becoming the primary enjoyer or becoming the enjoyer, that mood, that tendency is not in accordance, or rather it is in opposition to one's swarup as a servant or giver, or to becoming fully consumed, to become fully sacrificed for the pleasure of the beloved. So there is a vast difference. So when it comes to spiritual, it is all love, not lust. But it appears as lust because of the passionate nature. But the motivation is pleasure of Krishna. And in lust, the motivation is self-gratification. Got it?
Okay, thank you.
This,
So are we aiming to give pleasure to Radharani or to Krishna, which is the highest
Yeah,
goal.
our our the direct target is Srimati Radharani, and in assisting, how we give pleasure to Radharani? By assisting her endeavor to give pleasure to Krishna. So rather than trying to give pleasure to Krishna directly, we know that our capacity is very limited. No? Only Srimati Radharani alone is able to give pleasure to Krishna completely. So we enhance, we facilitate, and we serve Radharani's endeavor to give pleasure to Krishna. That is our service. So it is most appreciated. So through Radharani, we are able to serve Krishna the best and the most also. Got it?
Trying.
By becoming Sri Radhas, we automatically endear ourselves to Krishna, even without desiring it. We don't have to even desire to endear ourselves to Krishna. Just by becoming Radha, we have accomplished it without doing anything else. So in one shot, we accomplish everything what other aspirants of the your or other sampradaya, everything. Simply by becoming Sri Radhas, we have accomplished not only whatever they aspire to accomplish, but something more and unique and exclusive, Sri Radha Dasyam. Clear?
Yes.
But without coming to in the lineage of Sri Rup Sanatana Goswami, one does not attain the fortune of Sri Radha Dasyam, which is the ultimate topping. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam Sri Guru.
Sri Swamini Bhakti.
Shaker.
All right then. So we will travel tonight. So Saturday we won't be there in a. That's why we covered today the Saturday or tomorrow's. Thank you all for your patient hearing. One more. Anyone else or everything is fine?
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Swamini Bhakti.
I was really excited to find out that the class has been rescheduled so that we still have the opportunity to hear from you and to be in your association. So thank you very much for this. I found it particularly enthusing when you were explaining about how we become attached through the mind. And yeah, this was like music for me because it felt like something that was very attractive to do, and you were speaking about the contemplating the pastimes. The best thing to contemplate are the conjugal pastimes. So I was wondering, is it a case of attending classes to be able to understand what we're reading, or is it also that there is a specific text that you would recommend to be reading and contemplating in our own time?
Yes, very good. Just one scenario to how deep rooted this understanding or appreciation that I am a maid servant of Srimati Radharani. Radharani is supreme heroine or supreme queen, correct? Trillion times greater status and glamour, beauty, fragrance, everything, unlimited, more sweet and opulent of than any so-called queen of this world or any nation. Can you imagine that? The state of Srimati Radharani? And in comparison to that, we being allowed to be her confidential maidservant. Would that maidservant ever think of the fortune of her queen to be her own? It's like analogy giving, in the material world, there may be a queen, correct? And somebody may be her maidservant who does all this cleaning and making the bed, everything. So, naturally, to be so close and confidential to a queen, one has to have some special characteristics, no? Some special qualities, non-envious and totally devoted to the need of the queen and everything. So our contemplation is like that. We can, because we are not envious of the queen, to replace her with ourselves. Sometimes if the maid servant thinks, oh, I'm making a nice bed and all the arrangements for the queen to enjoy with the king. Why can't I also today act as a queen to give joy to the king? Do you think that's a very good idea? The king is interested in the queen, that's why she is the queen. If the king already has the better choice, correct? How better? Beyond comparison, correct? So our position as a maid servant has to be appreciated properly. Then at what level the queen and the king enjoy? Again, when we put this in the mundane or material frame or within the capacity, how much our mind can conceive and understand and appreciate. But the status of Radharani as the supreme queen, the supreme heroine, supreme Naika, and Radharani and Krishna is the supreme hero. Our material conditioning has only a limit. How much superior, how much greater hero or heroine Radha Krishna are, correct? The contrast should be so vast. They are superlatively supreme heroine. And by contemplating that, we have been given the fortune to be their confidential. Radharani is confidential. So in that by becoming established in that understanding, then we can allow our mind to contemplate at what level they have their conjugal dalliance in the Nikunja. And it will free us, that appreciation will free us from any possibility even of self-centeredness, to be the enjoyer, to be the queen, or to be the hero or heroine, like that. Because the contrast is so vast. That's why I give you the example of the sports. Those who understand the subtleties of any sport, if that sport is being played at such a high level, wow, it's magical thrill just to watch them. And we never think, oh, why can't I play at that level? Actually, we don't want to play at that level because we know our capacity, correct? But those who play at that level, they provide us the greatest thrill, more thrill than our own playing. So that way, we can remain situated. And then we can then we can engage our imagination to what level, what Radharani and Krishna, they deal with each other, how they enthuse each other, how they cause the mutual obsession through the touch, shabda, through the words they speak. What Radharani speaks, Krishna hears. So Radharani's speech is the sense objects of Krishna's ears and other senses and vice versa. So how obsessively they are engrossed in experiencing and relishing the sweetness of the sense objects of their senses. So the sense objects of their senses are the Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha of one another. The words, Shabda Sparsh, the touch, the beauty of the form, Rupa Rasa, the taste and the smell, of Radha Krishna are the sense objects of their senses mutually. And so that contemplation on our part will make us so attached, because what we experience vicariously, because Radha Krishna are the primary enjoyers of their senses and their this through their senses mutually, and so when we come to this realization and this understanding, and that is the most engrossing or most devoted realization, that we are Sri Radhas. And only by remaining fully loyal to Srimati Radharani, we get to experience the limit or the highest perfection of our human potential, is a confidential maidservant of Srimati Radharani. So the goal is to sustain the appreciation that we are a maidservant and they are the eternal superlative supreme queen and the queen, the supreme enjoyers. So there is no mixing up. Then there would be no mix up or imitation of trying to copy them. You got the point?
Yes, thank you, Sri Guru.
So we are never going to be the imitators. We are only the facilitators of their conjugal dalliance. And what they do, so Manjari she can contemplate all the things which we have read and studied so far, correct? So Manjari is describing their fortune for our benefit, so that we also become attracted to attain the status of becoming a maidservant of Srimati Radharani. All right?
Thank you, Sri Guru. So is it fair to say that the initial starting point of Smaranam is just to meditate on this point, and in order to prepare ourselves to be eligible to read and contemplate the pastimes?
Yes. Yes, because that is the nature of seeking or experiencing joy for us. We don't seek, or we don't experience a real joy or highest joy by being the primary enjoyer of Krishna. That's why in this Prema Bhakti Chandrika, one sloka will come where it is described that those who want to experience the sweetness of Krishna by directly connecting to him, the ocean of sweetness, one can experience only one drop of it. But by going through Sri Radha, by becoming Sri Radha, one is able, by the inconceivable mercy of Radharani, one may be caused to experience the sweetness of Krishna on the same level as Srimati Radharani by her mercy. No? So our endeavor should be only to become attached and confidential to Srimati Radharani. Then by her mercy, we may we may be allowed to experience even what we don't aspire.
Mm.
Can you imagine? So why should we become the loser? If somebody aspires something, but why not becoming Sri Radha, one may never get it. But by simply becoming Sri Radha, we will get to experience what we even don't aspire or want, we don't even target. So bin mange moti mile, mange mile na bhik. So why to go the tough course? Why don't we follow the most bona fide, most authorized, and something which is sanctioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers? That would be very intelligent. Okay? So the choice for us has been made by Mahaprabhu and his followers. If we are the loyal followers of their followers, then we will be always in tune with the will of Mahaprabhu. And that will be our fortune. And by their mercy, we will be able to contemplate incessantly the sweetest loving pastimes of the divine couple. And that relishment is 1,000 trillion times greater than someone trying to enjoy oneself as a heroine or as hero with even Krishna, like that. Why to go for the less when the more is available to us? Correct. This is the attitude of a Manjari. She is telling Radhika, okay, why are you forcing us to experience lesser bliss than the greater bliss we experience to see you in the embrace of Krishna? So the Manjari is telling, why are you forcing us in the lesser pleasure when when we experience greater pleasure when we see you in the embrace of Krishna? So their only motivation is to bring Radha and Krishna together, rather than they trying or even hankering ever to be embraced or touched or kissed by Krishna. So that's why there is a clear distinction between the nature of bliss experienced by the divine couple in their mutual meeting and the nature of our experiencing real bliss is vicarious in nature. We experience greater joy to see the meeting of the divine couple. We experience much greater thrill by watching others play at such a high level that we lose any attraction for our own play. And it is not at all astonishing, because that is the nature of that realm. So we are aspiring to get the eligibility to enter that realm where everybody is working for the pleasure of the divine couple only, and in that endeavor they experience more joy than by any other means. All right.
Thank you so much, Sri Guru. It's always such a pleasure, and my heart feels so light and so spacious listening to the words that emanate from your lotus mouth. I'm eternally grateful to have your association. Hare Krishna, pranams.
So that way contemplation of the fortune of a kinkari that she experiences while remembering and contemplating upon the blissful pastimes of the divine couple. Prema Punita.
Pranam Shri Guru. Hare Krishna. Thank you so very much for all the beautiful words and the joy you give us to experience, to serve you in all the ways we want. Thank you so very much, Shri Guru. One question, like couple of days we were discussing. So one of us said that all these pastimes which are written in these books, like they are all done, and like when we will go to Nitya Jagat, there will be new pastimes which like new ways how Swamini wants to serve Sham Sundar. Like I didn't know what to say about this, so I'm asking you, Shri Guru, how is this?
It's a very the nature is the same, but it's because it is rasamai to have the experience of something is rasa. It appears as novel. The same thing. The affairs, the most intimate affairs of the divine couple, they have many unlimited variegatedness. So due to variegatedness, it appears as new, like first time, and that's why the divine couple experiences every meeting between them is new and rasmai, chamatkar kari. So we get by studying this literature, we also become used to uh, feel that chamatkar about them. No? So do you think one who has experienced chamatkar or amazement, astonishment, they will not look for more chamatkar, more astonishment? So our sadhana at this stage is preparing us to get used to this chamatkar. Do you know anybody who ever gets or got bored of listening to chamatkari kathas, chamatkari fascinating? But in this material realm, every so-called chamatkar is a limit. They are same thing of the same material nature, material transformation, material vikar. And that's why the so-called relishment on the material platform of chamatkar, it is very short-lived. Because it does not give joy or satisfaction to the soul. It may sometimes entertain our mind and gratify our intelligence and ego, but the things which cannot be adopted by the soul cannot give us joy. But the divine couple, the supreme soul, our connectivity to them, they gratify the soul. And that's why when we will be transferred there, we are ready for more astonishment. More astonishment. In the material world, no matter, of course, there is a limit. In material means limited. So everything is a limit to its experience in the material world. And that's why we reach an end to it. And that's why we become bored. Again, but in the spiritual experience, there is no limit. It keeps on giving newer and newer thrilling experience without any limit. So we have to practice and contemplate how we will deal with the ever increasing inexhaustible chamatkars, fascination and everything. So correct? Unending chamatkar, unending novelties, unending variegatedness of Krishna's manifestation of Krishna's beauty and manifestation of Radharani's Madhanakya Mahabhav. No limit, no end to it. Although subject matter would be the same, but it will never be boring. If the subject matter is the same, it becomes boring on the material platform, correct? However, and one may wonder, how? What could be more than this? But in the spiritual variegatedness, there's always newer and more, because it has no limit, no end to its variegatedness. That's why We must hanker to enter that realm where there is no possibility of boredom, no possibility of loneliness, because we will always remain engrossed in the thought of the loving dalliance of the divine couple, and how to serve them and how to increase their joy, how to become theirs more and more and more. Hare Krishna. All right. Kirtaniya Sada Hari Ankurai Sister. Rai Ramanandasi. Please welcome.
Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam Haraji.
Hare Krishna.
First of all, I would like to offer my obeisances at Lotus feet, and I offer the apologies that I can't able to attend the last few four classes. I was a little bit engaged in other activities. Today's class is very literally a superlative manifestation of Rasa Katha, Tattva Siddhanta, and everything all combined. And the most important teaching I got from the today's session is that like in our sampradaya, we got the highest test, and we should go for the highest aspiration. And for the highest aspiration, we should have to sacrifice in a superlative manner. And very beautifully, you had explained that the qualification to remember the past times comes with a deep identification of the Swarup. The more and more we understand that we are the maid servant of Srimati Radharani, then automatically we can able to contemplate and meditate on the past times. And like when you were explaining, the same pastime came to my mind. Like once in front of our Gurudev, some Mataji, she used to come regularly, and she used to regularly ask that, "Oh Gurudev, please give me the mercy, please give me the mercy." So one day Gurudev came into the Avesh, and he took the water from his Achaman Patra and told that, "Oh, you want mercy, then I will send you to the Mukti Dham." Then he started giving him the boon, and then that Mataji became, she became fearful, afraid. Then Gurudev asked that, "What happened to you?" Like, "No, Gurudev, I don't want to get mukti." Well, then why you are asking me that I want mukti, I want kripa? Well, so that was the thing the Gurudev used to say, that you should have to be sure that if I am here and all our Guru Vargas are here, you definitely will kripa. You don't have to ask separately that please give me the kripa. You just work for the kripa.
Beautiful.
So I just like the exact answer that you gave about like when we have to contemplate upon the past times. The same answer the Gurudev gave in 1993 in Mathura, and all those things came into my mind exactly. Like we have to identify strongly with the eternal Swarup. Like more and more of a Purushabhiman will go, more and more we will realize the past times. So very much thankful at your lotus feet that you reminded all the things again.
Well, your addition is very helpful and very encouraging, because the path is common for all of us, and our nishtha, it has to be the same. To get the ultimate common goal, we have to follow the same track, because the direction and the destination. So those who changed our direction, then we remember or we acknowledge their grace, and to be in direct touch or direct association of those who graced us, that itself is the proof of highest kripa. And so thank you for coming and encouraging all of us.
Thank you.
And that identification one can realize in the presence of Sri Guru to the fullest extent. One becomes free from any doubt whatsoever, any sanshaya, because that's why embodiment. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the perception, the fortune of perception for the disciple is to perceive the Sri Guru as a Varshya Bhanavi Devi. You know, it's concept like him. Although it's Swarupa, Sri Guru is also Raganuga Bhakti. But for the disciple and sadhaka, one can have the fortune to perceive him or her as a Srimati Radhika Rani. Because all the mysteries of the spiritual realm or spiritual atmosphere, unless we find some experience of it, how can we have the sufficient hankering to go there? So that's why the experience with Sri Guru is non-different from what we ultimately will receive. So it's like a sample, na? If you find the taste of the sample or fascinating, that means we have naturally been blessed with the fascination for the whole thing, correct? So yadrishi shraddha siddhir bhavati tati. At what level one perceives the most blessedness of Sri Guru, of one's Sri Guru, that will be the ultimate, that will be the scale of our attaining perfection. And it is so sublime because it is so personal, it is so subjective. That experience matters, and that is that experience is made available, or the possibility to have that experience in every generation with one's Sri Guru. And that's why following in the footsteps or the Manobhishta of Srimad Mahaprabhu, we have to, the sadhaka must be able to, or must strive, must endeavor to become blessed with that perception of Sri Guru in order to realize his own identity. So it is not merely the theoretical practice that I should think of myself as a maidservant of Srimati Radhika. That is a Siddhanta. But when it will come, just like our Srila Prabhupada used to give this, that self-realization follows God realization. Because he used to, in refutation of Mayavad, he used to say that these rascals talk about self-realization without knowing as to who God is. So they make God and self as one and the same. He said, without appreciating as to who God is, without appreciating Ishvara Paramah Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhe Govinda Sarva Karan Karnam, there is no meaning, no basis for self-realization. So self-realization follows God. First comes God realization. Just like first in the darkness the sun comes out, and in the sunshine we see ourselves. So first comes God realization. Appreciating Krishna is the supreme. And then we can also understand our position, our identity as the eternal servant, and ultimately the essence of God, Srimati Radharani, ultimately the maid servant of Srimati Radharani. So, but that realization follows what? The realization of Sri Guru Swarup. So, if one has absolute appreciation of the spiritual master as such, and the concomitant effect or the result will that one will become blessed with his own realization as the eternal maidservant of Krishna. So our realization does not come on its own, like it comes only in relation to someone, and that relation is Sri Guru. So, Sri Guru's status is realized, then we stand full chance to realize ourselves also. So, Sri Guru always stands above, our constant source of inspiration, constant ideal to follow, and to feel his status on the same level as Srimati Radharani, because he's not separated from her, and that's why he is honored and worshipped and loved on the same level as Srimati Radharani. Although in identity they are different, but for the disciple, one should honor and worship and love on the same level as Srimati Radharani. Because highest is Srimati Radharani, correct? So if we consider Sri Guru as the highest honorable deity, then they are not two in that sense. Because in the spiritual world there is no Guru Tattva. In the spiritual realm, it's only Sakhi Tattva, Sakhi Manjari Tattva. But here to experience what it would be like to be with Srimati Radharani, so Sri Guru is a sample of Srimati Radharani, provides us that experience. And our capacity is only to experience the sample. If there is a whole ocean of nectar, of most relishable, fragrant nectar, how can we access directly? It comes in a jug or in a cup. So that is only through the means we can experience the nectar or ocean of nectar is through Sri Guru. Thank you for your love for your spiritual master. We appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
We will all kindly unmute and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra with love and honor for our Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
With our hearts, we will call out Shri Om Vishwapad Paramhans Shri Vajakacharya Ashtottara Shri Swamini Kripamurti Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj ki
Jai,
Jai.
Gurudev, Jai Jai Gurudev.
Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Krishna. Happy journey.
Hare Krishna. So wonderful.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna, Shri Swamini Mati Rastu. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Shri Guru.
Hare Krishna, welcome. Everything fine? Okay,
No, Shri Guru.
we'll join you all just in 2 hours in the Kirtan, all right?
Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranam Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, welcome. Shri Swamini Mati Rastu. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
Hare Krishna.